30th July. Thank you so much. Honorable VC sir, with your approval and permission, can we start the seminar, sir?
Please.
Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
So, Namaskar and very good morning. Honorable Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi National Open University, Professor Nagesha Rao sir, our Pro-Vice Chancellors of IGNOU, Professor Satyakam sir, Professor Uma Kanjilal ma'am, Professor Sumitra Kukreti ma'am, Dr. S.K. Mahapatra sir, Dr. Meena sir, and Professor Kiran Hazarika sir. Distinguished guest of today's webinar, Mr. Sharad K. Parirela, Scientist G from Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Mr. Parth Joshi from United Nations Development Program, and he's also a member of Life Cell of MOEF. Dr. Hitesh Vaidya, Director, National Institute of Urban Affairs. All the directors, registrars, and distinguished participants. It's indeed it's my privilege and I'm honored to welcome you all for this seminar on lifestyle for environment. Though our expert will be speaking in detail about the lifestyle for environment or mission lifestyle for environment, but just to give you a brief background that what is lifestyle for environment. This lifestyle for the environment or life movement was introduced by our Honorable Prime Minister during 26th United Nations Climate Change Conference of Parties, COP26 in Glasgow in 2021. And now it has become a mass movement, and it basically calls upon the citizens to the custodian of the planet instead of looking at the other people to come and improve the environment. It basically aims to sensitize all the stakeholders, which includes public, about the needful for mindful utilization instead of mindless consumption of the resources. So it encourages sustainable way of living. If we talk about the G20 presidency, there are 5 pillars of Green Development Pact, and it also includes life mission, besides circular economy, climate finance, climate justice, etc. So it is very important to integrate these issues, whether these are related to climate change, global warming, waste management, pollution, and sustainable lifestyle in all the sectors. And especially if I talk about IGNOU, as we are approaching the World Environment Day, 5th June, the IGNOU has envisaged or planned a lot of activities, series of activity for a sustainable lifestyle, which give an insight about sustainable lifestyles. And these activities really, they reflects the community participation so that we can overcome the global challenges. We learn to live with the harmony with the nature, which is already enshrined with the Indian ethos, and it is also the mantra of life. The government has given a comprehensive and an exhaustive of 75 individual environmental friendly actions, which are called life action, which are across the 7 categories, and it has identified for all the individual community institution as a part of this movement. I'm really looking forward for the insights from the lectures from our guest, which will be helping us for sustainable growth and which is also a key to Atmanirbhar Bharat. With this background, it is indeed a great honor for me to welcome our guest of today's panel seminar, Dr. Parirela ji, who is also looking after the life activities in Ministry of Environment and Forest. So, sincere thanks for giving us this your valuable time. The moment I requested sir for his lecture, he has very readily agreed despite his very busy schedule. He has informed us about the mission life also and life portal also, where we can enroll all the activities or register all the activities which are going under this mission lifestyle. I welcome Parth Joshi ji, who is a communication officer in United Nations Development Program. Very warm welcome, sir. We are looking forward for your insightful lecture. And I welcome Dr. Hitesh Vaidya, Director NUPA, who will be delivering a lecture on how this sustainable lifestyle and urban living is interlinked and how it can improve our environment. I am really honored, and I take this opportunity to sincerely thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao sir, who has always been our guiding light, our source of inspiration, and all the activities of this school and IGNOU is under his guidance and under his visionary leadership. So sincere thanks for allowing us and encouraging us to develop all the program which has all the insight related to environment, lifestyle related environment, and also giving us this guidance to contribute towards this mission life. With this word, I once again welcome all the participants for this seminar. And I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao sir, for his inaugural lecture.
Let Sharad ji be invited because he has to go to PMO.
Okay.
First, invite him. And, yeah.
Okay. Sharad, I invite Dr. Sharad ji, please, to give your insightful lecture on this mission life.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for allowing me for your lecture. So let me share my screen. So kindly enable me to host the screen.
Okay, sir. I request COE to please enable sir to present his lecture.
Now it is.
Thank you, sir.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Good morning, the respected Vice Chancellor, sir, and all the dignitaries who are joined online in this particular session. Just I would like to mention what is the importance of this mission life, the lifestyle for environment, whether it is really a program which is of the government, or is there any responsibility as a citizens, as a students, as a research community, what is the role of the people from the universities, that I would like to emphasize in my particular lecture. You can see last month, 2 months back, the IPCC, that is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. This is the most premier scientific institute that has been appended to the United Nations on climate change. So they have come up with the report. So what is the status of the present climatic conditions? They said that presently the global warming temperature has already reached 1.1 degrees above the pre-industrial level, that is 1850 level. It means, say, our target is it should not be more than 1.5 degrees as per the Paris Agreement. So it means we are not far from that particular target. If we stop doing this thing, so you know that the carbon dioxide, so that is already being emitted, so will continue to be damaged on the Earth's surface and the atmosphere. So it means the urgent action is required. You can see the NASA has identified, say they analyzed, so what is the carbon dioxide levels on the atmosphere. Earlier, so in last 8 lakh years, so it was only 300 ppm, but now it is 420 ppm. Means it is, say I can say 150% the normal one. So it will have the impact on our things, and we are already seeing all the repercussions of whatever the say the sin. I can say it is a sin that the human activity that we are not supposed to do, that we have done, and so that whatever the implications that are being happening, that we are seeing. in terms of extreme climate events, whether it may be a flood, whether it may be say the high temperatures and shifting of monsoons, say increasing of sea level. All these things are happening. Why it is happening? So because of the human activity, and we are not connected with the nature. Nature has given certain things, so which for our survival. But because of our greediness, so what we are doing, so we are exploiting more and we are emitting indiscriminately. So this is the result that you can see ice sheets across the Himalayan have shrunk 10 times faster. So the rate of the shrinking has the increased tremendously. The global sea levels are predicted to rise 2 to 6 feet by 2100, according to the NASA satellite data. So these are all the implications, and ultimately not only on our the living, but also on our GDP and our economic things. So we may lose 18% of GDP by 2050 just by a climate, the conditions. So these are all the problems that has been say identified. These are all because of the human-induced the climate, human-induced greenhouse gases, whether it be a industrialization, whether it be a transport, whether it be a urban sector. So all the sectors, whatever the daily activity that do in one or other way, we emit the either the carbon dioxide or other gases. So including our agriculture. Another one you can see who actually, if we see analyze the richer people, that highest per capita emissions who contributes so more than 34 to 45%, whereas the bottom one only contributes the 50%, so bottom 50% contributes only 13%. So it shows that indiscriminate use of or unequal use of the natural resources and emissions by the society of different people. Here, why the mission life has come? Because see, there are so many things are there. So government has also taken several measures. So they have also made some policies. But one thing, so the behavior, the personal behavior and the personal, each individual's the commitment towards their lifestyle action really matters. That is why the Honorable Prime Minister in Glasgow in COP26 has announced the mission life. It is the base funda of the principle of this is mindful and deliberate utilization instead of mindless and destructive consumption. Here, say it is not that we are not asking to use, but whatever you use, that should be a diligently. You have to use the diligently. You have to use the sustainably and connect with the nature. So the whole program are to nurture the individuals and communities. Thereby, so one, if I want to change, it has to from my own side. That is from individual level. Then it will be a family. Then it will be escalated to the say community level and at village level and like that. So top to bottom to top approach has to be adopted when you want to change the system. So that is an approach where this particular mission has been formulated. So it is to practice the lifestyle, and whosoever is practices very small the deeds that one can do very easily and one can change their mindset. So they will be called as a pro-planet people. Here you can see the quote of the Honorable Prime Minister, this world life, which means the lifestyle for environment today is needed for all of us to come together and take the lifestyle for environment forward as a campaign, as a Janandhan. See, just I want to say, highlight the significance of this particular mission. So in the COVID, you all see, so how the nature has all, we have all so much of technology has been developed, but in spite of the technology, in spite of the science, in spite of the best available the science, we are at the mercy of the nature. It means, so when you are ignore the nature, then the nature has also taken some sort of the revenge. So that is the result of that is the COVID pandemic. And everybody has suffered and everybody has experienced so what the nature is. like that. So here, what we have to see is, from what we have to learn from such a situation is, there is an urgent action is required to connect and to live in a synergy with the nature. So that is the requirement, translational requirement. And one more thing is, we have to change from the linear economy to the circular economy. So just take, make, and use and dispose. That should not be our motto. It should be, so you have to reuse, recycle, refurbish, you should not just waste and throw it. It has to be brought onto your life cycle, so that a sustainable, and whatever the natural resources which are finite in nature, that has to be available, should be available to our next generation. Here you can see, if you want to change that, you have to start from yourself, and as a responsible as an individual, so for the climate action. One more thing that has, so when you come to the India, so India, our carbon footprint are 60% lower the global population. Though we are housing 18% of our population, it's a world population, but our footprints are 60% lesser than the global population. Why? What is the reason when we compare with the Western world? So the reason is basically our lifestyle. So our the traditional values, our the respect to the nature that has been imbibed in our the culture. So normally everybody respects, so that whatever the trees, so we treat as a goddess, or all the natural resources we treat as a god, and the divinity that we see, and we also respect those. And also the culture of say reusing, reutilization is there. But what is happening in the present days, so we are adopting the Western culture, just so whatever the natural resources that we are trying to consume more and throwing like anything. So we are not caring of the resources in the present days, but that should not be there. So whatever the traditional culture which was taught by the elders, that has to be taken, and that has to be taken forward for sustainable living. So that is the basic funda of this particular movement of pro-planet people in the this present this thing. Just I would like to give some example. So what the individual action really matters. Here you can see a working life of any plastic bag is hardly 15 minutes. Just you have to take your provisions, tables on this, and once you come to the house, you will throw. So it means the working life of is only a 15 minute, but when we see it at large and globally, about 1 million bags are being used every minute at a rate of 1 billion bags means, so how much of natural resources that we are tapping from the Mother Earth. The second, the simple behavioral change that is required is, say normally what we do is, when we brush the teeth, or when we clean our utensils, normally keep our tap running. So you can see here what is the potential of saving in that. So a average global person wastes 2.5 liters of water in a day. It means the average person is 2.5 and 8 billion people are there on the earth. So how much of say water is being wasted? Then another example is turning off lights and ACs and heaters can save up to 282 kilowatts of energy. Normally what we do is just we switch off through the remote and just we see. But when the machine is idle and the switch is on, it also consumes. That consumption is about 282 kilowatts of energy altogether. And 30 minutes of idling at a traffic signal wastes nearly 1 liter of fuel. So how many vehicles are there in a country, or if you take the city, so how much of what is the potentiality that is available to save here in this particular regard, that you can see. Keeping all this in view, say we have taken say this behavioral program. Earlier also, India has taken a lot of behavioral programs. One of such is Swachh Bharat Mission. So that is a behavioral nudge program. So initially people have thought that what this program is, but now everybody is say appreciating, and everybody has say recognized the importance of this Swachh Bharat mission, and now it is a successful mission. It means the Indians and as in India is able to adopt the behavioral programs, whatever is for the noble cause. And here it is also a noble cause where we are asking to save the energy, save the water, save the natural resources, reduce the waste. So it is that so whatever the small contributions that can be made by each individuals that we are asking under this particular program. So like that, so there are another the major programs are there like Govardhan scheme, Give It Up scheme. So these are our Catch the Rain programs. So if you name, there are several programs that successfully that Indians have adopted. So they have say their acceptance to behavior is very good when we compare to the other parts of the world. For centuries, and Indians and civilization practiced the sustainable lifestyles. So when we see that our elders they don't waste any food. So if any waste food is there, say they used to feed to the livestock. So all that. Now, so such practice now has been changing in a day by day by adopting the Western culture and so yeah. I would like to give some examples of other countries also. Like, see, this is one of the examples, the sustainable practice of Japan, where the wrapping cloth, the philosophy originated around the 700 BC, a square-shaped Japanese traditional wrapping cloth. So that is used the eco-friendly wrapping to the gift, so they save a lot of paper, lot of the other plastic material by this. This is another example from the Sweden. So I want to say showcase you both the Indian as well as the other the case studies of across the world. This is the Sweden's one, where just right, just right philosophy is also can go a long way to serve our scarce resources. So this is the behavioral program from the Sweden. So this is another program where say they used to say for soil moisture and conservation program. So this is the one of the initiative that has been taken. This is the Indian example. So instead of using a dry cloths, so just use the cloth line. So this is our practice, so that whatever the solar energy that is being abundantly available that we are using, instead of say energy intensive practices of say drying in our own washing machines and dishwashers. Say recycling and reusing, so use of cloth bags. So this is the one of the initiatives, and from the most of the Indians, when you see at the village level and rural areas, this is the one of the example from the Netherlands. So they have taken the cycling as a one part for the shorter distances, so that lot of public transport, say reduction of stress on the transport system, motorized vehicles and all. So this is also, I think you might have most of you seen, say using of leaflets by Tendu and other the banana leaves and other different types of the leaves, non-timber forest products. So they use, instead of our the cutlery which is made of the single-use plastics, so that is not actually really wanted. So when if we even litter these all those things, so these are all biodegradable, so there will not be any harm to the environment. So this is another example. So the wasteful consumption of energy, like this. Say we want to, and this particular the Honorable Prime Minister want to become this as a one of the Jan Andolan, to nudge the each individual in terms of the natural resources and all. So you can see what exactly the themes is. This theme has say this life has got 7 themes. One I can say the save water, save energy, adopt sustainable food systems, say no to single-use plastic, adopt healthy lifestyles, reduction of waste, reduction of e-waste. Under these 7 themes, there is a non-exhaustive list of 75 actionable points are there, individual actionable points, like switch your light, switch off your light when you are not in office is an actionable point. Take cycle or non-motorized vehicle for shorter distance. So this is also one of the actionable point. Say segregate waste is another actionable point. Say use the cloth bag instead of plastic bag is another actionable point. Say stop or your running tap when not in use is another actionable point. Say catch the rainwater and conserve the rainwater is another actionable point, and plant a tree is another actionable points. So these are the small actions one can really able to do without any say value loaded to or otherwise there is no money is required. So it is only a will is required for the each individuals. So if suppose each individual contributes, so you can simply say at that comprehensive level how much of the impact that will happen on the conservation of natural resources and reduction in the carbon emissions. So these are the some under this particular mission. Say we want to say nudge about 1 billion people, and so this many villages, more than 5,15,000 villages and 3,700 ULBs, the district 766. So this is the one of the ambitious goal in all 5 years. So for this, actually we really need the support from the each of the cross section of the society. So this particular one has got the 3 phases. One is in change in demand. So change in demand is that the nudging of the behavior of the each individuals. So once the behavior has changed of the individual, so then automatically it will reflect on the supply chain. So change in the supply chain. So when change in the behavior and supply comes, automatically it will be there will be a change in the policy also at the government level. So this how we want to in the 3 phases want to run this particular program. So what is the potentiality that is there with this? Say if you can see, if 1 billion people, pro-planet people across the world follows for 5 years, so it can save 22.5 billion kilowatts of energy. So what it is equivalent to approximately 4 times the electricity of the India imports in a year. So that is the say quantum that we can save by simple actions. Turning off a running tap when not in active use and use that for 9 trillion waters of use, which is equivalent to 3.6 million fully filled Olympic swimming pools. So that is the quantum that is that we can save, that the potentiality is available. Replacing the plastic bags with the cloth bags can save 375 million tons of solid waste. So which is equivalent to 1.12 billion tons of CO2 equivalent. So that is the potentiality available. See, we normally what we do is say when the phone is worked, then simply we keep there, discard somewhere or give to will not give. If it is been properly recycled, so there is a potentiality for 0.75 million tons of e-waste. So which is 64 lakhs of worth of the gold that is. So these themes, these actionable points are also aligned with the sustainable development goals. So particularly the your goal number 12, the responsible consumption and production, sustainable consumption and production, so that really it meets. So the mission is also aligned with the sustainable goals. And here, so what we are really say asking is, say one here, from the universities, that might be so many case studies might be available, so much of knowledge, traditional knowledge that is available. So now the research is required, how that the individuals, how the different traditional practices and what are the sustainable practices that really bring and that has to be the propagated across the society to say nudge the behavior of the present generation and also to the future generation, and how we can say contribute to the really a very challenging climate crisis. So this is the behavioral framework that we want to do. Say here It may be a water sector, it may be transport, food, electricity, waste management, recycle and reuse. So these are the sectors that one can use for your research and your innovation and ideas. That a call for ideas can be taken. So some of the say behavioral nudging programs that we have conducted. So I can say more than 1.5 crore people have participated in our Jan Andolan movement in last say from the 5th of May to till date. So 1.5 crore people have participated in the life movement, mass movement. You can see from the Mary Life portal. So that is available where you can take the individual actions. So one can become a pro-planet people and there. So these are the some of the awareness activities that we are taking. So more than I can say about 9-10 lakh events across the country, and about say 27 lakh students have joined in this particular in last 20 days. So these are the some of the glimpse of some of the pictures, and we are also carrying a very big program under the chief guest of Honorable Prime Minister on 5th of this June and at Vignan Bhavan. So I am actually the in charge of that particular program. So that is why I have to leave to that. So with this, I am closing my session and I will be handing over to the organizers. Floor to you, Min. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for motivating us with your very informative lecture to become the pro-planet and people. Thank you for giving us the insight on mission lives, how climate actions can be initiated for sustainable living, and all the areas where we can contribute effectively for improving our environment in this regard. With the permission of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, I wanted to say that we are looking forward to you and ministry for giving us guidance so that we can contribute more towards this noble cause and we can contribute for improving our environment. With this, I once again, on behalf of IGNOU and on my personal behalf, thank you for giving us time and delivering your lecture. Now, thanks, sir. Now, I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao, sir, to give his inaugural lecture, sir. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you. We were listening to Sharadji, who is kind enough to explain the concept of life, which is relevant to all of us. We are extremely thankful to him for his clarity about the whole issue and how it has become a public movement. Distinguished speakers, Sri R. Joshi ji and Hitesh Vaidya ji, and my own colleagues. I'm happy to see that the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, it is going to organize, or it is organizing right now, a national webinar on lifestyle for environment. Precisely, it is called as life. And once we are saying that is life, means lifestyle for environment. A notable contribution of our Honorable Prime Minister of the globe, and 2 years back, it is not even 2 years, it is 1.5 years back, when he initiated this campaign at the global level. And based on some of the practices which are traditional, which we are using it, and to which most of us are accustomed. And the way Sharadji has explained those basics to all of us, it is quite useful to all of us to see that how we can contribute significantly. IGNOU is world's largest university in terms of student strength. More than 35 lakh learners are with us, spread all over the globe, not only in India, but also across 53 countries. And we see that we are offering 273 programs in this July session, plus 43 online programs. Science, social science, humanities, and the students who are with us, they are full-time, they are part-time, they are employed, they are the teenagers, and they are the adults also. And you see that, plus our family consists of 38 lakh alumni, the passed out students. And with this reach, we can contribute significantly to this mass movement, which is based on our basics, which we always try to use it in our own day-to-day life. When we are having this 75 years completion, and we are moving towards the Amrit Kal in the next 25 years, we have to do something concrete to reshape our own economy as well as the global economy also. And when we look at those basic steps of 7 areas, and most of these steps we know about it. What it talks about, it says that the AC is to be maintained at 24. We do it, but sometimes we forget about it. Sometimes we put it at 18, 16, 20. This small step is going to contribute significantly. Use the cloud storage. We also do it. Walking, cycling, we do it. Even for drying clothes, we do remember in our childhood, there was no this washing machine with us. And we used to wash our own clothes and used to take the help of sunlight to dry our clothes. That is also put as one of the steps which you can initiate for this global movement. Use the LED lights. Use those things which can contribute significantly to our environmental concerns. Of course, here only 75 points were listed. We can think beyond that. Even if we look into these 75 points, we all can individually contribute of practicing at least half of the points without making any hard effort from our side. And here the role of IGNOU comes, that how we can promote it, how we can propagate it, how we can reach to larger number of people with small steps which you can take. We are having 57 regional centers. We are having 2,000 study centers. We are having 4 channels. We are having our own website. We are having our alumni Facebook, having 55,000 alumni followers. We are having Twitter, Facebook followers to the tune of 5.5 lakhs. One small tweet from our site is going to reach to more than 5 lakh people at a particular point of time. And if we try to address 10 to 15 tweets, then the reach will be around 50 lakhs. Only look at these 75 points, and you will see that how we can contribute significantly in this mass movement. And they clearly tell us what is our direction. Whether we want to become a person who is to be called as pro-planet individual. Pro-planet means concern for environment. The 2 phrases which have been used specifically by our distinguished speaker Sharadji also. mindful utilization or mindless consumption. Definitely you'll go which side? You'll go the side which is correct through our rational thinking, mindful utilization. We all can go for it. Throwaway culture or circular economy. No one would like to go for throwaway culture, leading to lots of wastages, and that can also be curbed effectively. And small actions which you take, they all are giving tremendous results in terms of cost cutting, in terms of serving our cause for environment. And we can sustain our environment for a longer duration. Look at those 75 points and distributed in 7 areas. I do feel that we can add a few more, but the direction is pro-planet individuals, and we all can contribute significantly. I am here to listen to the distinguished speakers so that our insight, it can further be sharpened and strengthened, and our role will be to expand the reach of this message of our Honorable Prime Minister to a family like IGNOU, which is having right now 75 lakh students, plus if we say that their family consists of 3 to 4 persons, then it will be 3.5 crores also. Bigger reach and a small message focusing on these 75 points will definitely help all of us to achieve the milestone which our Honorable Prime Minister has envisioned for the globe as a whole. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your guidance and motivation always encourages us to move forward. And with your direction and support, the school is committed to make efforts for protecting the environment and promoting sustainable lifestyles. Thank you so much, sir. Our next guest for today is Shri Hitesh Vaidyaji, Director, National Institute of Urban Affairs. Sir has a great experience in the field of urban management, urban governance, and capacity building. He has been instrumental in, providing technical support to urban local bodies and providing a kind of a direction with regards to urban planning, and also creating an atmosphere where the sustainability, particular urban sustainability, is emphasized. Sir, we are delighted. In spite of your busy schedule, you are here. I kindly request you to present your ideas on today's webinar.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, IGNOU, for inviting me for this great topic as well as a webinar. And I know we are just reaching World Environment Day, and I think the Mission Life really actually brings out all the issues which we are talking about during the World Environment Day. I think Professor Nageshwar Rao ji and Mr. Sharath has already talked about Life Mission, its action, and I think it has improved my or helped me into jumping the gun a little bit and rather than going into life. But thank you for great, sir. Both of you have really brought all the actions which I was going to talk about already talked about, but I'll just try to bring some perspective from the urban lenses to the mission life. Well, we all are talking about life, and we all want life has to be made life, and that is the challenge which we all have. Sir talked about we are doing individual actions. These are individual actions which are already being doing. But how do you incentivize individual actions? And individual actions can be incentivized through institutional actions. So if I want people to cycle, then I need to create a cycling track, cycling protocol, cycling safety, and everything. So while these issues are we all have been talking about it, we all have been thinking about it. It has been, not a over a period of time, we have really thought, and Prime Minister has given this call for net zero, and also this mission, which is such an ambitious mission, is how do you prepare and equip the cities to really move towards life. And that is the area where National Institute of Urban Affairs, which is the think tank of Government of India, is helping cities to equip them to really take these institutional actions so that individual actions can be incentivized. And we are looking at it in 5 or 6 broad areas. First area, which, I'll just take, because we are talking about lens, I'll just stop here, and I'll think that for the urban perspective, if you look at it, out of 75 actions, which has been already talked about, 19 actions are having a direct ULB connect out of 70s, which I think some of them have already been talked about by Sharadji, I'll just quickly can say that these 17 are that we want to get into install solar water, we carry our own water bottle, do not let the pets defecate in public spaces, use public transport. Some of these 19 actions we have mapped out of 75 actions are direct link with the urban local bodies. And that is why we need to really equip our cities towards these actions. And what is NIUA doing in this actions? The role NIUA is coming up. First thing is, and VC sir has already talked about, how do you plan, bring these elements into the planning perspective? Because unless we plan our cities, these things will remain words. So what is the planning instrument we have? The only legal planning instrument is green blue, is a master plan of Delhi. How do you bring green blue infrastructure into the master planning? And that's the area where we are doing. We are creating frameworks, we are creating tools, we are creating templates, so that we can nudge the legal financial instrument which cities have to really plan their cities and bring these new elements which life talks about in the planning perspective. Before even a planning, you need to see where our cities are in this perspective. While we are talking about life, we want our cities to go from X to Y, and bring these issues into their perspective. And IUA did a largest assessments thinking. Have cities started thinking about these issues? And we looked at a 5-star, which is called Climate Smart City Assessment Framework, which covers around 126 cities, almost 150 million urban population in the country, which is around 70% of the urban population we have covered. And what we are looking at, we're looking at not as a performance that you are good, bad, ugly. We are looking at the development indicators that have cities started thinking about climate issues in the process of thinking about what climate actions are. Second thing we are looking at is, have cities started collecting data, formed committees, hired technical agencies to start planning on climate actions? Third is, have cities have created some kind of a project proposals, formed the committees at the thing, and committees have started initiating those proposals? Fourth is, have cities have allocated budgets and start implementing climate actions? And 5 is, actually showcase some of the climate actions on the ground. And while we have been very, very critical of our cities and harsh on our cities, and I'm very proud to say the results came out that while we may not have reached level 5, but our maximum cities are in the level 2 and level 3, which means they have started collecting data about it. They have started making evidence-based action plans. They have also started coming up with the project proposals. How do you convert individual actions or support the institutional actions to support individual actions? And I think that has been one thing. Out of like, I'll say even, cities are looking at, and we looked at when we say climate and life, and there are 7 buckets, we converted these things into 5 buckets. And all these actions, which I'm saying, whether it's 75 or 19 urban actions, are really concentrated on 5 buckets. And this is urban planning and green cover and biodiversity. Second is energy and green buildings. How do you save your energy? How do you make, what is the green in the housing sector? How do you improve your mobility and air quality? how do you get into a better water management systems? And what are the new innovative ideas you are looking at a waste management? So because climate is a big one. We wanted a climate language to be a language of cities. And that is why we thought, look at the operational day-to-day operations of cities which are really doing and how they are made more climate oriented and integrated with the life actions which we have talked about in the life projects. So we have, a lot of good cities have started working, and while we always talk about cities which are doing good is Pune, Mumbai, Chennai, Calcutta. I'm surprised, and I can tell you cities like Agra is talking about how do I get into electrical buses or improve my public transport. City like Amritsar is talking about how do I bring green and public transportation in my day-to-day business. While Visakhapatnam, Pune, Chennai are continuing, but these are the cities which are doing. Cities like Belgavi is doing. Cities like Diu is coming up solar parks. City like Warangal is looking at conservation of building codes and make it more green and bring green and blue infrastructure into the place. And small cities like Thane is bringing a green Thane initiatives. Kochi is coming up local biodiversity. So there is a wide range of initiatives which cities are doing. As an National Institute of Urban Affairs, what we have is we have looked at 5T approach, which we call it. And 5T is cities know what to do. What they need is they need a handholding to really reach to that level. And when they handholding, they need tools. So you have assessment where they can assess where they are, so that they can make the roadmap for themselves. How do they go from X to Y? Second is, even though we call it template, but I think template is a minimum viable project. They know how to do it. So we are creating those templates so that everybody does not have to start from the zero. They know this is what we need to do. And then everybody can contextualize their journey based on the level where they are. Third is, how do you equip them with the new technologies, new ideas? We are providing them a guidance on that. Fourth is training and capacity building. This type of a webinar, seminar is actually not only bringing the practitioners of training and capacity building, but the young leaders who are, you said 75 lakhs of students. I think the fraternity where we can build this, enhance their knowledge and what is going on and bring them into the urban thing. Because if environmental climate change challenges has to be done, everybody has to swell their hand in the cities, and cities are the main contributor of the environment pollution. So how do you bring the young thinking, young minds? And I think this platform like IGNOU is a great way. And fourth is transfer of knowledge. We all are doing a lot of good works. And as I said, the cities are working on a lot of initiatives, but it remains in a silo. It does not go into how do you exchange city to city learning, peer-to-peer learning, and bringing, each one equipped with this knowledge and others. So the way we are really working cities and equipping them is through planning, which I told we go from planning, you convert into projects. So we are helping cities to really, create some kind of what I call it a sandbox of innovations. We actually work on it, learning from project, how we can influence the policy, so that linkages between what is required and what frameworks are required, we are working on them. And as I said, we even though you need a lot of young leaders and lot of people to come here, and IUA has created a platform where we are working with the students who are doing their thesis. So we are doing a thesis competition. We are bringing a lot of fellows on the place. We have started, young leaders, and this platform I'll use the people from IGNOU want to do their thesis on some of the areas like water, blue-green infrastructure. How do you really look at water body diagnostics? They are welcome to be a part of NIU's youth wing and contribute from their knowledge. So we can, we can help them to give them work with our project so that they can learn while they are doing their thesis, while they are preparing, and even later stage when they are passed out for their fellowship programs. So these are some of the tools which we are working while we are using this exercise. And I think as my earlier speaker has talked about, it is easy for us to we are already doing a lot of his actions on the ground. The question which we all have to do is, how do we institutionalize it? How do we take it further? How do we equip urban local bodies, which are the main responsible to really put the pen to paper? And I think the discourse, which we all know why it has to be done, we all know where it has to be done. We also know how it has been done. More or less, there is no such a big thing that we don't know how it can be done. The challenge which we all of us has to, the discourse has to now change. Who is going to do it? And that is where the major issue is, because we have to meet the discourse from what, where, and how to who is going to do it. And that is the role of IGNOU or an organization like NIU. We need to equip the persons who are actually doing it through a knowledge, through tools, and through technology and transfer, so that they are the one who understands. And I particularly think, while we are talking about climate issues, life is one of them. The language of climate has to be language of cities if we want to really achieve the aspirational goal Honorable Prime Minister has talked about, 2070 net zero. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for giving the insightful address and touching so many issues about urban issues like urban planning and so on. And with the predictions that the urban population is going to rise in the coming years, really urban infrastructure has to play a great role towards mitigating the climate change and also for the behavioral change that is required for lifestyle for environment. Thank you so much, sir. Our next speaker for today is Shri Parth Joshi ji, who is Communications Officer at UNDP. Sir has a experience in the research, capacity building, strategic research, policy interventions, and also sir is the member of the committee constituted for life by the Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change. So sir at UNDP is responsible for communications related to particularly climate change and biodiversity, with a huge experience in these fields. Definitely, sir, we will be benefited by your address. I request you to kindly share your views on today's webinar.
Thank you, Ms. Dave, and it was really heartening to hear all these presentations of the previous speakers. I would just like to display my screen. All right, and I'll probably shut down my camera to avoid any interruptions. In case you can't see it, please let me know. So we heard previous. So we heard the previous speakers speak in detail about life, how it's relevant, especially in the urban context. So I thought I'll just take a step back and highlight a few points about the importance of behavior change for effective climate action. Climate change, as we all know, is the biggest crisis we face today. But at UNDP and the way we look at it, that it is also the biggest opportunity to change the way we develop. And globally, if we look, while the process is slow, we have actually started to seize these opportunities. The Paris Agreement, the COP26 in Glasgow, where the Honorable Prime Minister first introduced the concept of life, and the entire post-COVID green recovery narrative. These are all testament to the fact that governments around the world have actually started to come together and collaborate to reduce emissions while still striving to meet the development needs of millions of people around the world today. But as affluent urban consumers, as most of us sitting here might be today, we need more, and especially from us as individuals, communities, and societies. Climate change, as we look at it, is not just an emissions problem. It is also a perception problem. As individuals and societies, we are often detached from climate change, failing to attribute our own actions as a contributor. And we often think of it as something that others have done, and now governments or businesses must tackle them. There's a report by the United Nations Environment Program that estimates that nearly 2/3 of the global greenhouse gas emissions are attributable to household-related consumption. The way we travel, work, eat, the clothes we wear, the electronic gadgets we use, Every small habit of ours has an impact upon the climate. If we take an example, last year, in less than 7 months, we consumed more resources than our planet produces in a whole year. And this rate of consumption continues to grow. And there's also a dichotomy here. While millions around the world are over consuming or wasting resources like food, water, and fuel, large populations globally are fighting poverty and inequality because of the lack of these very resources. Now, wealth and income have a positive correlation with consumption patterns and consequently with GHG emissions. And this results in a carbon inequality between countries. The wealthiest 1% today have more than twice the emissions of the poorest 50% around the world. And that is why, and that is where behavior change matters. To combat climate change, countries initially focused on technology, policy, and regulatory means to curb GHG emissions. But the impact was not as high as expected. One reason for that is that the world has adopted a culture of consumerism. Carbon intensive lifestyles fuel global aspirations and drive consumption. Advertising and social media also play a significant role in promoting consumerism. And we need to fundamentally change our lifestyles. We need to redefine our needs, aspirations, and identities, reorganize how we consume and interact with our social and economic systems, and reestablish this entire idea of what progress and growth means. And this perhaps is the core idea behind Mission Life. Now, if we measure utility in the form of personal needs and aspirations, then let us look at the law of diminishing marginal utility. If we look at this graph here, we see that after a point, increase in consumption does not really lead to an increase in the level of fulfillment. In fact, after a point, it even starts to decline. Now, this just enough, and we also heard this Swedish example before, is the threshold after which, even if consumption is not increased, fulfillment can increase through various non materialistic gains like generosity, happiness, mindfulness, social engagement, and on a whole, an improved life experience. This is probably the threshold where we as individuals and societies and eventually economies need to be at. And the message of Mission Life to move away from this present state of mindless consumption to a state of mindful utilization echoes this philosophy. Long-term sustained behavior change from a consumerist lifestyle towards a simpler one with mindful consumption is a long drawn and complex process because many of our unsustainable habits have now become routine. Changing this requires people to think before every action, break their current habits, inculcate new ones consciously while simultaneously making a mental shift in toning down material aspirations that they've fostered over years. And this is not easy to do because this is what has been preached to us as a society. The ideas of growth, of consumerism are very entrenched in our day to day lives. Now, to help us identify drivers of change in individuals, we have to resort to behavioral science to give us an understanding of how people process information and make these choices. Habit is one of the key challenges for behavior change policy. And with increased focus on individual lifestyles, a number of behavior change theories are being researched and even implemented. One of the most successful theories to be put into action is the concept of choice architecture and behavioral nudges, which help influence consumer decision making towards desirable behaviors without limiting the freedom of the individual to make a choice. So, while we think we are making a choice that we want to make sure that it is the correct choice that as policymakers we are nudging people towards. This nudge makes it more likely that an individual will make a particular choice or behave in a particular way by altering the environment or the policy ecosystem around him or her in a manner that is subtle. So I don't realize that I'm moving towards a eco-friendly behavior while I'm actually doing so. And it also has to be cost effective and context specific. Nudges can take many forms, but largely they describe policy design choices or actions that apply insights from behavioral science to improve consumers' existing choices or habits. So, how do nudges combat climate change, pollution, and unsustainable use of Earth's resources? We as individuals make thousands of decisions every day. And many of these are habits or choices that are not the most environment friendly. Despite knowing that we need to adapt our behaviors to combat climate change, we may still not take the actions needed in our daily lives to be impactful. So, what explains our failure to act when it comes to a crucial goal like saving the planet? This chasm or the difference between good intentions and actual actions is called the intention action gap. It helps explain why we may intend to save more money, conserve more energy or water, or buy sustainable products, but ultimately fall short of doing so. Understanding how we process information and how context affects our behavior can help policymakers design more robust and cost effective interventions to ensure sustainable consumption behaviors. In recent times, we have seen a surge in formal recognition of the potential of behavioral insights to help meet policy goals. Governments around the world have set up dedicated behavioral insight entities to help them frame more effective policies. In India, we have a behavioral insights unit at the Niti Aayog. MOEFCC now has this life cell, and many educational research institutions are also looking at behavioral sciences as a specialized field. To give you some examples and building upon the examples that we heard about earlier, in Sweden, a poll in the city of Malmö in 2003 revealed that half of the car trips made in the city were less than 5 kilometers. So the city authorities then worked with sociologists and psychologists and launched a campaign called No Ridiculous Car Trips, which invited residents to submit written accounts which were funny in nature about their most nonsensical car trips for a chance to win bicycles. Now, in a humorous and memorable way, this campaign drew attention to the often habitual choice to drive short distances. And it also implied a general public commitment to change this behavioral norm. The city also gave small gifts to cyclists as a thank you for choosing to cycle. And this created a feeling of reciprocity that encouraged people to continue to ride. Now, we all see bicycle lanes in major cities around India today, but probably taking it one step forward and designing nudges to ensure that people use these bicycle lanes is probably what we should be looking at next. Now, in Sweden, as a result of this initiative, 15% of the residents reported a sustainable shift in their travel behavior due to the campaign. Now we have an example from Costa Rica. So to reduce water consumption in the town of Belém in Costa Rica, local authorities started to paste stickers on consumers' water bills. The sticker had a smiley face if the household's water consumption was lower than the average household in the neighborhood or town, or a frowny face if the consumption was above the average. This was first done for neighborhoods around cities, and then it was subsequently upscaled to multiple cities. In addition to the bill, people were also provided postcards that had tips and planning prompts to help them set goals and form plans to reduce their water consumption so that they could get a smiley on their next water bill if they had a frowny face. As a result of this intervention, there was an average 5% reduction in water usage. Now, this was a very low cost intervention. All you had to do was paste a sticker on a bill. And this led to a significant reduction in natural resource use. And this was a simple intervention built upon social and community dynamics to create this feeling of competition in a positive way and urge people to act. Now, we have many successful Indian schemes as well that have employed insights from behavioral thinkers. The Swachh Bharat mission is a good case study to understand how nudge factors, along with policy, infrastructure, and communication, can bring about behavior change. The mission was launched in 2014 to achieve universal sanitation coverage, and it was one of the first policies in India with a strong focus on behavior change. Within 5 years of it being launched, household access to toilets increased to almost 100% in all the states and UTs. While there was the material incentive of building free toilets, ensuring that they were actually being used was in fact also a major challenge. And this is where the principles of behavior change were applied. Local ambassadors of change were engaged in every village to create a sense of solidarity around the initiative. Since people tend to adhere to and emulate someone they know or admire, and we know at a national or a regional level, we had celebrities that were also engaged in promoting the campaign. Participatory rural appraisal techniques brought individuals together as a community to address the issue of sanitation collectively. For people who did not work with the collective or those who resisted, it served as a failure bias that elicited the fear of attracting scorn of the community or being shunned out of the society. By attaching a sense of disgust to open defecation, it appealed to the emotions of people, thus moving them to change. And apart from achieving universal sanitation, there were cascading social benefits as well. By empowering girls and women and giving them access to toilets, the mission has been instrumental in improving the literacy rates and consequently discouraging early marriage of girls. Now, higher education institutions globally are increasingly recognizing their responsibility to prepare students and society to actively contribute to climate change adaptation and mitigation. Within this broader context, there are two key areas of action. First, developing curricula and pedagogical approaches that explore interlinkages between behavior change and climate action. Now, this could be done by advancing research in behavioral sciences in areas such as sociology, psychology, and communication, and also integrating it in other streams of education, particularly in STEM fields as they largely guide how our economic systems function. There is already a strong movement of interdisciplinary studies that the Indian education system is adopting as it evolves. And when it comes to climate and environment education, adding this lens of behavior change can add much more dynamism and relevance to the curricula. We also need more action oriented research that can inform policy. The interventions that I highlighted earlier in the case studies are all guided by insights derived from academic research that gave policymakers new ideas and solutions to test. In fact, the very idea of nudges was developed through a rigorous study of policies that succeeded and failed. So, this relationship between research and policy needs to be inculcated further. Second, we need to utilize life as a platform for climate innovation. Niti Aayog had launched a live global call for ideas last year, which will culminate at the Environment Day this year, where academic institutions and researchers were invited to submit ideas on behavior change and initiatives for environment friendly lifestyles. And selected ideas would be given about 25,000 US dollars each for a chance for the solutions to be developed further and tested. Our higher education institutions can create many such platforms to encourage new ideas. This can be through innovation challenges, hackathons, etc. Now, higher education institutions also have huge untapped potential when it comes to mass communication. Within society, education institutions command a high level of respect and are themselves very well positioned to lead many nudges around their campuses. Think of cleanliness drives, reducing use of single-use plastics, promoting cycling, or even creating green spaces where people can engage with and learn about nature. Lastly, institutions can also become carbon neutral in their own operations. And this is not an uncharted territory. We have many campuses in the country that are already doing commendable work in this area. But if we are to achieve the ambitious target that the Honorable Prime Minister has envisioned, then each and every institution needs to come on board. I'll give you a simple example of a nudge that we did here at the UNDP India office. In order to reduce paper use, as we were redesigning our office space, we removed all drawers and desks and also did away with the concept of fixed seats for anyone. So any UNDP colleague could sit at any seat in the office, due to which all the desks had to be cleared of every paperwork by the end of the day. And there was no space to store them as well. So that meant that people had to take them home. So as you can imagine, this drastically reduced our paper consumption. And to complement this, we started using softwares like DocuSign to make all paperwork digital. So there was actually no need of printouts in the midterm for a majority of the official work. Now, to conclude here, we know that climate change was caused by billions of people making lifestyle choices that were harmful to the planet. We probably did not realize it at that time, but we do now. And it may seem like an overwhelming problem now, but billions of people making equitable, pro planet lifestyle choices supported by technology and policy can easily help us achieve our goal of net zero. Educational institutions, which are at the heart of our society and economy, are vital to help create this generation of pro-planet people. At UNDP, as well as the Life Cell at the ministry, will be happy to work with institutions to achieve this vision. I would like to conclude here. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you, Parth Joshi ji, for highlighting the importance of non-materialistic pleasures towards fulfillment, and also realizing us the importance of higher education institutions towards life. Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful address. At the end, now I request Professor Shubhangi Vaidya ji to deliver vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Dr. Diksha. It has indeed been an extremely enlightening and interesting morning, and it is my pleasant duty to propose a formal vote of thanks. At the very outset, I would like to express the school's sincere thanks to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Nageshwar Rao, for his constant encouragement and guidance, and for his gracious presence here today, and for an extremely interesting talk on how IGNOU can really help to foster the mission of an environmentally friendly world and a world where climate change is no longer an unpleasant reality. Thank you so much, sir, for your gracious presence. I thank the wonderful speakers of the day, Shri Sharat Kumar Palerla ji, Shri Hitesh Vaidya ji, and Shri Parth Joshi ji for their very, very interesting talks, which covered such a broad canvas, right from the science to the social science to the policy dimensions. Truly an interdisciplinary feast for all of us who are present here. I would like to thank our director, the director of the School of Interdisciplinary and Transdisciplinary Studies, Professor Shachi Shah, for her dynamic leadership and her incredible ability to gather together people for such interesting and relevant issues and topics. Thank you so much, ma'am. As you know, we all bat together in this school. The whole school is with you in these very, very important efforts. Thanks to the faculty of SOITS for their presence as usual and their support. Thank you so much to the entire IGNOU academic community, the Honorable Pro Vice Chancellors, the directors of school, and all our other faculty colleagues from the regional center who have graced us with their presence today. And I'm sure this has been an extremely enlightening and interesting session for you. I thank our research scholars and students who are also here in numbers to be a part of this very, very important event. And in conclusion, I wish all of you a very, very happy World Environment Day up ahead on the 5th. May we all together with our combined efforts make this world a better place, a cleaner, greener place where we can all flourish together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us and supporting this endeavor for sustainable lifestyle. Thank you so much.
Thank you.